What's up everybody, Maran here for another quick drive video. So this time I'm in the all-new 2018 Ford Expedition, and so it's been nicely modernized here, especially on the outside. I love the way that it looks now with those new headlamps. I mean, the entire design is completely all new based on the new F-150 and looks really good. I love the way they did that. Also on the inside here, it's pretty nice. Again, very similar to an F-150, almost identical. It's pretty nice as far as the interior goes. Now, Expeditions can get a little more pricey, and honestly, the Lincoln Navigator, which is the same bones as this, is so much nicer inside that I think I'm kind of partial to that myself. But we'll take it on a back road here, see how it accelerates. It's got the got a little wheel spin there. We got some wet roads here, so that's part of what's doing that. But it gets up and goes really well. So this uses the 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6 engine. It does 400 horsepower here. If you go for the highest trim level, if you go for the lower trims, I think it's like 390 horsepower, so a little bit less. And it feels very punchy. All these EcoBoost motors in these Ford vehicles are all very punchy. They all have lots of nice low down torque, and none of them feel slow, honestly. They all are so strong, at least the larger ones, of course. And so it does, I think, a plenty good job of getting this vehicle moving down the road very nicely. Other things about the Expedition, well, it's very large, so especially on a narrow 2-lane road like the one I'm on right now, it can be a little tough to drive just because it's such a large vehicle, but you do have pretty good visibility. Aside from having this grab handle at the A-pillar, I'm not super in love with that. Otherwise, though, it's pretty easy to see forward. View out of the sides is great, and view out of the back is also really good. And so from that standpoint, it's very easy to drive. It's just, again, a very large vehicle, but that's what you expect out of an Expedition. But the road manners are very good. This would be great as a road trip vehicle, highway cruiser, all those types of things it does really well. Putting it into a corner here, it handles pretty flatly. I was also really impressed with the Navigator. It had similar handling where you definitely feel the weight. These are heavy vehicles, and there's no mistaking that. But for what it's working with, it does a pretty good job of hustling itself through corners whenever you find yourself on the occasional back road, and it's a nice thing to just drive around in. I think it's great that it has the great infotainment system you have here on these interiors. These Ford Sync 3 is so nice. The B&O Play stereo is also a nice new improvement here for 2018. That is a really good stereo. I've tried it out in the F-150 that I had for a week a few months ago, and it really impressed me in that. It was just so powerful. You hardly had to even turn it up to get nice loud volume out of it. And my Bullitt Mustang also has the B&O Play stereo, and I'm very impressed with it in that as well. So really a nice improvement there, in addition to the great Sync 3 infotainment, which has its Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, one of the easiest to use infotainment systems, I think, in the industry. And you have some wood trim and stuff here in these higher trim levels of the Expedition. They try and dress it up and make it look a little bit nicer, but again, with how expensive these can get, I still would rather just go for a Navigator, I think, myself, with that. I mean, every single panel is nicely dressed in some type of material. Everything is very visually interesting. Everything feels nice to the touch, and it has like those completely digital gauges in that, and several other things that really set it apart, and it just set the bar so high that and even around my area, I see more new Navigators than new Expeditions, and I think it's just they priced it very competitively. And so I think the Expedition maybe could use a little bit of a price reduction or something like that. But I mean, it still is great for a family hauler. Sometimes you don't want something super luxurious. If you have kids throwing stuff all over the place, having some of the harder plastic and stuff is okay, and not something that other families will be worried about. But you do have some nice padding, like down by your knee area. That is nicely padded. I do love these seats too, with the stitching that it has here, the kind of quilted stitching. And compared to the F-150 that I had, which was just a normal mid-level trim of the F-150, this definitely feels a lot nicer. Now, does it feel as much nicer as the price jump suggests? That's up to you to decide, but I think it still is a really nice vehicle, you know, and there's very few vehicles in this segment. It's like you have this, and you have a couple other competitors, and that's basically it if you want something that's this large. And so, yeah, I think they just have continued to nicely update the Expedition. I really like that it now has, you know, the new looks. So you have the new interior, you have the nice efficient engine, and so all things considered, it's a really nice, you know, completely redone, but also an update for the Expedition that it badly needed. And so overall, a great job done there. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Expedition in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.